So, okay students, let's start our first chapter of economics in our first class. So, the chapter is named as Economic Concepts and Systems. As I mentioned in my orientation session as well, this chapter is not a direct chapter that would be coming or tested in your exam. Okay, you may get a single question or MCQ from this chapter, but not a very long question. But why this chapter is important and why it is first chapter? It's because it contains a lot of concepts, a lot of definition that's important to understand the further technical concepts of economics. Okay. For example, if I say economics, you must at least know what exactly economics is. Then only you will be able to understand the different concepts under the economics. You should be knowing what are the different types of economies in the world. Okay? Then only you will be able to understand the supply and demand function in those economies or how those economies operate. Right? So, that is why this chapter is an independent chapter which will be making base for your further chapters. Okay? So, since we are starting our economics from our first class, let us start with the definition of economics only. What is economics? Okay. So, basically economics is far more than money and finance. There is a basic myth in the society is that whenever we hear a word economics, we understand we relate it to finance or money. Yes, money is very important because whatever decision you are making, money plays a very important role. But please make sure economics is not only money. Okay, money is an important part of economics, no doubt, but it does not make whole economics. Okay, second thing to understand is that it is a social science, not science. What is the basic difference between science and social science is that in science we have a set rules of principles that okay, if I mix this solution A with solution B, I will get this solution C, that is completely sure. But social science means there is a factor of personalization. For example, if a person A is making decision in economic circumstances, he would be making different decision as compared to the person B who is making decision in some different set of circumstances. Okay. So, based on different factors, there is no set of rules and principles that can be applied in a particular economy. Okay, that okay, if you are making this decision, you will get certainly this result. There is no certainty in this. That is completely based on different factors, different individuals making decision and different set of economic environment you are making decision. For example, if I say inflation can be different in a country that is facing a war scenario and that can be different in a country that is in normal scenario. Okay? So, that is why there is no set principle, but there is a factor of personalization. That is why economics is a social science. Now, I said that economics is not about money, then exactly what is economics? So, economics is concerned of production, consumption and distribution of what? Of goods and services. Now, please make sure we are only accustomed to using goods, okay, because these are physical. But in economics, we will be talking about two types of things. We can have goods that are physical in format, or we can have services. For example, banking services or entertainment services, something we are providing, but that is not physical in nature. Okay. So, goods and servicing, and three economic activities that are there in the society are production, consumption and distribution. What is production? Producing any set of goods and services is called production. Consumption, for example, I am using this shirt. So, this is my consumption of shirt. If a factory produced this shirt, made this shirt in their factory, then that is their production. Okay? And I might not have gone to factory directly, right? I might not have gone to farmer who grow the cotton, right? So, there is a market in between. There are intermediaries in between that distribute this shirt. So, that is called distribution. So, there is a cycle going on between these three economic activities. So, these three are named basic economic activities. So, this was the definition of your economics. Now, as I said, in the exam you won't be asked that what is economics, explain the definition of economics. No, but you must be knowing, if they ask you for example, you are writing notes, is that an economic activity or not? No, that is not an economic activity, but he is saying that you are growing, for example, wheat in the farm. Is that an economic activity? Yes, that is an economic activity. Okay? So, for that you must be knowing the definition of economic activity. Okay? Now, another example if I take is that a father is giving pocket money to his son. Is that an economic activity? Now, what your first instinct would say, okay, it consists money, so it might be an economic activity. No, there is no production going on, there is no consumption going on, there is no distribution going on. So, that is why it is not an economic activity. But yes, if the father is paying the worker working under him, then that is called an economic activity. Why? Because he used the services provided by the worker. Clear, guys? Is it clear what exactly is economic activity and what economics is all about? So, if I summarize this, economics is not only about money, but yes, money is an important factor in economics. We have three types of economic activities. Basic economic activities consist of production, consumption and distribution of goods and services. Okay? And one more thing that I told you guys is, economics is not social science, is a social science but not science, because there is no set of rules and principles and certain results that we would be getting after making certain set of objectives. Okay? Now, let us move forward. Let us talk about two dimensions, two activities that we basically understood, production and consumption. We won't be getting on the definitions. If I will be telling you definition, it would take a lot of time. Okay? Production basically, as I told you, producing goods and services. Again, I am not writing goods, services are also produced, right? Producing goods and services from raw materials to meet certain objectives. What those objectives can be? This can be either earning profit or earning pleasure. Okay? So, what is the main key feature of this definition? Producing goods and services, how we would be producing raw materials and why we are producing to meet certain objectives. These certain objectives can be profit, pleasure, pleasure in the sense social welfare. Okay? If I go on consumption, consumption is making use of those goods and services. Okay? And in between, how these production and consumption are possible? This is possible because of introduction of market in between. Those who produce are called producers and those who consume are called consumers. So, what does production? If I talk about two basic key concepts of economics are demand and supply. Whole microeconomics is based on demand and supply. So, production basically creates supply and consumption basically creates demand. Okay, we would be learning the definitions of and the concepts of supply and demand as well, but just understand that production creates supply and consumption creates demand in the market. Okay? So, there is the difference between production and consumption is clear. Now, let us move forward to types of economies. So, we have divided whole economy into three types. There are three basic classification of economies. First, we have command economy, or I say social economy. I can also say is central. There are so many names, so you just have to understand the meaning. Okay, then you can name any. Then we have money or free economy. or I say it as capital. Rather than using money, let us use capital economy. Capital or free economy. And finally, we have mixed economy. Okay. When I say command, central or social economy, in this government or some organization, public organization, command or control economy or resources. For example, if I talk about our Indian economy at the start of independence, okay, whenever when we just got independent, we didn't have so much independence of producing the things and holding the things. So I can say my economy was sort of central economy, where my government was influencing my factors of production, my consumption, and every other economic decision my government was taking. Okay. If I talk about current scenario, we can take an example of China, where most of resources are held by the government. So this is again an extreme dimension. Please make sure this is an extreme dimension where all resources, all factors of production are held by the government only, okay, or public institution. For example, if I say in some country there is no government but a public institution, that's supreme. So there is one supreme organization that holding all the resources and influencing all the economic decisions. Is that clear, guys? Now if I come to capital or free economy, that's completely opposite of it. Okay, here no economic decision is completely made by the government, but it's completely dependent on what the demand and supply is there in the economy. Okay, dependent only on market demand and supply. So that's why I said it is free. There is no organization taking all decisions. All the economic decisions are made by market demand and supply only. Okay. For example, if I say in country A, let me give you an example so that it can be clear. In country A, government is saying, okay, you have to produce 80 units of, for example, food A and 20 units of food B only. So since government made the decision, that can be concentrated into control economy, or central economy. But if in country B, it is clear from the demand and supply that people are demanding 50 units of food A and 50 units of food B, then 50 units of food A will be produced and 50 units of food B will be produced. So that's the decision made on, the production decision was made on completely on the demand, right? So that is called my capital economy or my free economy. So I hope the clear between capital and command economy is clear, guys. And again I said this is an extreme case. Nowadays we can't see these two extreme cases in any country because we have a government that need to ascertain the social welfare factor as well. That's why most of economies are mixed economy. Okay. So mixed economy means some decisions are made by the factors of demand and supply, and these are also influenced by government whenever necessary. For example, in our country, if I take, India is a mixed economy. How? In our country, the supply and demand takes most of the decision, but government takes some decision as well for some disadvantaged sector, for example, poor section or marginalized sectors, or for some scenarios where the economic circumstances are not good, for example, war scenario. In those factors, the government would be taking decision, but the rest of decisions are taken by the market factors only. So that's called mixed economy. So most of the world economies are mixed economy, where a lot of decisions are taken by market factors, but they are also influenced by government whenever necessary. So I can say it is a combination of capital and central economy. Okay. I hope these three types of economies are now clear: command, or I say central, or I say social. where certain decisions are central or held by one public organization or say government. Okay. Then I say capital or free economy, where all the decisions are taken by only market factors, which basically constitute demand and supply. These are two extreme events, rare to find an economy with these certain features. So there is a combination economy, that is called a mixed economy, and most of the world economies are mixed economy, including India, where all the decisions are the combination of the result of market factors and the government influence. Cool guys? Now I use a word, factors of production. So you might be confused what exactly is factors of production, right? So factors of production. So how would I be able to produce? There is nothing to worry about consumption. Okay, I want to consume something, I am getting a desire of something, I can consume it, I can buy it, I can consume it. But for production we have to think a lot of things, right? Where will I produce? From what will I produce? What are the raw materials? So basically factors of production means the resources required for production. Okay. Now what are these resources? So we have classified these resources into three sections. First are natural resources, then we have human resources, and we have manufactured resources. Natural resources, I would require a factory, right? So where can I establish the factory? I can establish it in a land, right? So natural resources, I can say land. Land is the basic requirement for any production. Okay. If I say human resources, now who would be producing the resources? A labor or a set of laborers? Who would be operating on those labors? An entrepreneur or a leader? So human resources I can classify labor and entrepreneur. Okay. If I say manufactured resources, now how would I be producing with? Okay, I have my place where I would be producing, I have those people who would be producing, but how I would be producing? I would require machinery, I would require some raw materials, right? So I can say this contains raw materials. Raw materials can either be natural or manufactured as well. For example, if I say if I am making bread, so my raw material in that is wheat. So raw material, in that case my raw material is natural resource. But if I say I am producing shoes, for that my raw material can be some sort of material or fabric that can be synthetic or manufactured. So in that case it is manufactured resource. Okay, raw material and my machineries. Cool. So whenever I will use the term factors of production, you guys might be clear, you should be classifying those factors of production into three parts, that is natural resource, human resource and manufactured resource. Okay. There can be a MCQ, for example, giving you a scenario and asking, okay, which of the following can be the resource for the production. So you guys might be able to tick it. Now coming to one more section, subject division of economics. We classify our whole economic subject into microeconomics and macroeconomics. Clear guys? Micro, as the word micro suggests, micro means small, and macro, coming from the Greek word macros, macros mean big or large. Okay. So you might be able to understand the difference by now. In microeconomics, I would be talking about certain sector of one economy. For example, if I am talking about my country India, so in microeconomics I might be talking about the shoe industry only, okay, or certain my individual demand only. Okay. So based on individual demand and supply. When I say individual, it might not only for one person, it might be individual for one individual group, one individual organization, one individual sector, okay. And macro, whole economy as one. So, here I will be talking about aggregate demand and aggregate supply. If I take example, I can say supply of shoe industry, consumption of certain individual group. Okay. If I talk about macroeconomics, inflation. Now, inflation is a topic, inflation is a concept that is applied to whole country, whole economy. So, inflation is a macroeconomic concept. Or I say unemployment, okay. Or I say fiscal decisions, fiscal policy, if I say the policy is made by the government. So, these come into a whole, these are large concept, large decisions, that is why they come in macroeconomics. So, yes, you can be asked a question of difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics, or there can be a case based question as well, where you would be asked that, okay, you have been given 3 or 4 different scenarios, identify if this is a macroeconomic decision or a microeconomic decision. So, you would be able to make the difference only if you are able to clear the concept of these definitions. Okay. Now, I hope you would be able to grasp the real objective of this chapter. There are a lot of individual concepts. Now, if I say demand or I say aggregate demand. Demand is basically what the individuals in the society or in the country ask for consumption, okay, their consumption amount. Aggregate demand is total consumption or expected consumption. Total consumption by people in country or society. Okay. Similarly, if I classify my supply and aggregate supply, total production or I say expected production by factories or factors of production, okay. And I will write production unit because factory is not the only production unit, okay. Total production by factory units in country. Okay. Now, what is the difference between aggregate demand and demand or aggregate supply or supply? One major factor is that in a normal demand, I will be talking about a certain individual, okay. If I say I am talking about my consumption pattern, so that I will be talking about my demand, okay, I demand this shirt, so that is my demand. But if I am talking about aggregate demand, all the country people's demand or foreign demand, which I say export, people from other countries would be asking for my product, my country's product as well, na? So that I would count it as in aggregate demand. If I sum up all the demands of all individuals in the country and across the country for a certain product, then it is called aggregate demand. That is why I wrote total consumption, because I would be making demand for consumption only, right. I can make demand for consumption as well, I can make demand for production as well, okay. Now, if I am talking about aggregate supply, so aggregate supply is again, there I was consuming, here I would be producing. So, all the total production made by all factory units or production units in the country is or across the country is called aggregate supply. Across the country, it contains exports of goods and services and it consists imports of goods and services. Please be sure, okay. Supply from another country is called import, and supply to another country or demand from another country is called export. Clear, guys? So, if I say demand and supply, these are microeconomic concept as I am talking in short sector, and if I talk about aggregate demand and aggregate supply, these are a macroeconomics concept. Now, why exactly we need economy? What exactly is the requirement of economics? Okay, you are talking about demand. I can demand whatever I want, but what's the restriction? You have limited money, right? Similarly, if you are a producer, what's the limitation? You have limited land, you have unlimited desires. You want to produce as much wheat as possible and want to earn as much money as possible, but you won't be able to do that because you do not have resources to accomplish that goal. Similarly, you would want to acquire, okay, if you go to a shopping mall, what you would want? You would want to take a lot of things, but you have to make a choice. Okay, if you are thinking about 2 towels, but your budget allow only to buy 1 cloth. So, what will you do? You have to make a choice. Why you need to make that choice? Is because you have limited money or limited budget, right? Similarly, if I am talking about whole economy, the government or the economy has to make certain economic decisions because they have a lot of desires, a lot of wants, but have limited resources. So, they have to make a choice, and whenever that problem of choice comes, economics came into introduction. Okay, guys. So, why we need economy is because we have a problem of scarcity. Scarcity of what? Scarcity basically means excess of wants over resources. So, basically if I summarize my problem of scarcity, it means unlimited wants, limited resources, 3 keywords I am talking. If whenever a question of problem of scarcity comes, your mind should be diverted towards 3 keywords, that are unlimited wants, limited resources and choice. Since we have unlimited wants, limited resources, we have to make a choice. So, these 3 keywords completely defines your problem of scarcity. So, whenever if you are writing a definition of problem of scarcity, for example, in a certain question, then you must highlight these 3 key words. Clear, guys? I hope this is clear. Problem of scarcity. Because of this problem of scarcity, we have to make 3 certain decisions. Economy have to make 3 main decisions. So, I write it as 3 main economic decisions, or I can write 3 main economic problems that comes under the problem of scarcity. Okay? Problem of scarcity is the main problem, and then I can classify 3 main economic problems that facilitate my economic decision. Okay? So, these 3 main economic decisions are basically what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Clear, guys? Now, can you focus on word? I just wrote produce. Why didn't I write anything about consumption? Is there any restriction to your consumption? Okay, I understand that money is the consumption, but is there any restriction to your demand? You would technically want to demand whatever you want, right? We would be learning why we have to make choice, because the consumer as well have to make some choices, okay? But what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So, if I come to what to produce, so the economy is asking what type of good exactly or services exactly I need to produce. So, I can either produce consumer goods, for example, I can produce breads, clothes, which a consumer would want, or I could produce a capital good, right? If for example, you are establishing a factory, okay, you are wanting to start a business. So, what 3 decisions would you require? firstly what you will produce. So you can go to two dimensions, either you can give goods or services. Okay, if you are going to goods, what you can do is either you can produce consumer goods, for example clothes, breads, food, whatever another things that a consumer would consume on a regular basis, or either you can produce capital goods, for example you can produce war goods, right, machineries, okay, that would not be consumed directly but would come in further production units, right. So this is one economic decision that a producer has to make. Then you have thought, okay, I would be producing, for example, certain good A you are producing, okay. Now your second question would be how to produce. How can you produce? So there are two basic different techniques you can use. There can be furthermore classification, but two common classifications can be, either you can use labor intensive technology or you can use capital intensive technology. Okay. For example, if I say India and country B have to make some decision, India has this much population, a very large population, but country B have a limited set of population, and in those we also do not have a lot of working population. Okay. So what would be that country's economic decision relating to how to produce? India would prefer choosing labor intensive technology because they have a lot of human resources. Okay. For country B who do not have that much labor, they would be using capital intensive techniques because they had more of manufactured reports, right. But usually we want a combination of both. We choose which is cost effective, time effective. Basically in economics we consider time as cost only, okay. And again another factors, for example, if we are not talking about profit maximization but we are talking about social welfare, then which technique would be more socially beneficial. Cool. Now third decision that you would be making is for whom to produce. Again I talk about two motives here. First can be your profit motive or another can be your social welfare motive. Okay. These classification again I say are not exhaustive, but they are to give you a grasp that what exactly these decisions constitute. Okay. So whenever they ask you about three basic decisions that an economy has to take regarding production, is that what should I produce? Either I should produce consumer goods or my capital goods, or should I produce, how should I produce? Should I use my labor intensive technology or my capital intensive technology? And finally, for whom should I produce, or what should be my production motive? I should produce for profit or I should produce for social welfare. Okay. Now coming to one more important concept. Since we are making choices, now these choices are made. Now choices leads to cost, right. For example, I gave you the example of shopping mall. We talked about the decisions regarding production. Now we are talking about the decisions of consumption. Okay. If I am thinking of buying top A and top B, if I buy top A, I have to forego on this top B because I have a limited budget. I have to make a choice, right. Choice is basically choosing between alternatives. I am not writing two alternatives, there can be a lot of alternatives. So choosing between alternatives. So in this choice I have some cost associated. Cost is not only related to money. Please make sure whenever I talk cost is not only money. In economics it's at least not only money, okay. It can be cost of pleasure or cost of satisfaction or cost of utility or cost of time. Okay guys, so this cost, there is a term associated called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost If I talk about the definition of opportunity cost, the whole meaning of this term is associated in definition only. That's 3 to 4 word definition. Cost of next best alternative foregone. Okay. So, for example, I say I was getting my satisfaction of 20 units when I bought the top A, and I was getting the satisfaction of 30 units if I bought my top B. Okay. So, which top would I basically buy? I would buy obviously that top giving me maximum utility, maximum satisfaction. So, I would buy top B. But before buying top B, I have to sacrifice my top A, right. So, my cost of top A, that is the utility or satisfaction I was deriving from buying that another top, is called my opportunity cost. Clear, guys? So, my next best alternative which I have sacrificed the cost associated with it. Either it is the profit I was earning, either it was my income I was earning, or my satisfaction I was earning, which I sacrificed, that cost is called the opportunity cost. And by comparing these opportunity costs, we make choices. And how choices we are make? What are the type of choice we make? We make rational choice or rational choice. Okay. What is the rational choice? I would always be selecting something with maximum utility, maximum cost, okay, maximum satisfaction basically. Clear? So, rational choice is the choice where I compare 2 to 3 alternatives or more alternatives, and then I make a decision which gives me maximum satisfaction. So, let us do a question, then only you will be able to understand what exactly the concept of opportunity cost is and how do we apply it in economics. Okay? So, let me show you a question. Yes, read this question. Amy is deciding how to spend her next Sunday afternoon. She has 4 mutually exclusive choices. Okay, these are not dependent. So, these are mutually exclusive choices which will give her following units of pleasure. As I said, every time you might not be only talking about money. Okay, the satisfaction you are losing or sacrificing, that's also your cost. So, if she drives a car in rally, so she would be getting 70 units of pleasure. If she is playing squash, she would be getting 40 units of pleasure. If she is watching television, then she would be getting 25 units of pleasure, and if she is going shopping, she would be getting 15 units of pleasure. Okay. Now, what is the question? What is the opportunity cost of driving in a car rally? If she is driving a car in rally, then what is her opportunity cost? So, remember the definition of opportunity cost: best alternatives cost that we have sacrificed, right? Next best alternative foregone. So, if she is driving the car, she is already getting the units of 70. So, what is the next best alternative? There is no alternative which is giving higher utility, higher pleasure to her, right? So, we would move to downward. So, she would be getting 40 units of satisfaction if she would be playing squash, right? So, her opportunity cost is 40. Why my opportunity cost was not 25 or 15? Because these are not next best alternative. Next best was 40. Okay. Now, if I read the next part, what is the opportunity cost of going shopping? What is the opportunity cost of going to shopping? Now, first we will check out how much units of pleasure she is getting if she is going to shopping. So, she is getting 15 units of pleasure. Now, if she is getting 15 units of pleasure, I will check the next best alternative. So, next best alternative is the 70. Okay, if she would be driving her car, driving in a car rally rather than going to shopping, she would be getting more units of pleasure. That is why her opportunity cost in this case is driving in a car rally. Clear? How do we apply the concept of opportunity cost in numerical terms? Let us read the answer first. The opportunity cost of driving in a car rally is 40 units of pleasure, which is the value in terms of unit pleasure foregone by not playing squash because it is the next best alternative that we have foregone. Similarly, the opportunity cost of shopping is 70 units of pleasure, which is the value in terms of pleasure foregone by not driving because it is the next best alternative. So, you have to first identify the next best alternative How would you be able to identify the next best alternative? By comparing current alternatives cost or the units of pleasure or income, whatever you are deriving, and then comparing the other alternatives cost. Okay? And why we are in this, we assume that we are always making rational choices. We want always maximized satisfaction, maximized income or maximized profit. Clear, guys? So, let us wrap up this class of today's. In the next class, we would be talking about some more individual concepts. For example, we will talk about what is inflation, recession, what is balance of trade, and what is globalization, and we will understand the concept of PPC, production possibility curve. We will be talking about exports and imports, what is unemployment, and many more things. Okay? Till then, I hope this class was clear to you guys. If you have any doubt, please mention in the doubt portal. And yes, thank you. Happy learning.